This is Michael Wilson. We're looking at the issue of Jesus and the transgender solution. We're in a race to the bottom, but we're not quite there yet. Pedophilia is the next one. But currently, transgenderism is a huge issue. But we need to be clear. This is not an issue of the left and progressives versus the right. Some want to make it out that way. In fact, many want to make it out that way. This is an issue of right and wrong. This is an issue of evil, demonic possession, mental illness, huge issues going on here. And yet we're being forced to succumb and agree, or we will pay the price. So generally there are four trends. You've probably been tracking these. We need to deal with them because this is not going anywhere good. First is just the general issue of trans activism. We're led to believe and told and actually being forced, and people are losing their jobs, that you have to support transgender rights. It's an issue of a human right. No, it's an issue of what God says and what is in fact true. You're born a man or you're born a woman. You don't get to change that. It's true when you're in the womb. It's true your whole life. And hundreds of years after you die, we would be able to tell whether you're a man or a woman because that is who you are. God's word says that is true. But trans activists in general are marshaling all kinds of resources, corporate resources, governmental resources, societal resources, cultural, movies, you name it, everybody's being forced to support the transgender movement. Now, it gets worse from there because the next one has to do with the grooming of children. Trans activists and their supporters believe they have a right to work with young children, sometimes, in fact, most of the times, in spite of the parents' knowledge, that they can begin at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old to change their gender. Well, they can't. And it's evil, and it's leading them astray, and it's damaging hundreds and thousands of young people. And we must somehow put a stop to that. There are, in fact, gay groups, Gays Against Groomers is one of them, that is actively debunking and opposing this movement. It's wrong, it's evil, it's demonic, and we can't accept it. Then, in kind of tandem with all that, the whole women in sports issue, men are now allowed to be able to say, I'm a woman, and compete in women's sports and break records, and it's not going to stop. The government is, in fact, mandating that schools and colleges must support transgender, meaning men, competing against women. And that just defeats the whole sense of right and wrong. It's just wrong. And then the final one, which is the most insidious probably of all, is government intervention. Government is intervening to force us to accept all these things. We must accept transgenderism, that a man can become a woman when they can't, that children can be groomed, that women are not allowed to compete fairly in sports, and they will force us, and they are forcing us to agree or pay the price. And the price, in many cases, is fairly heavy. So what is the solution to all this madness, to this evil? Jesus is clearly the solution. Jesus is clear about men being men and women being women. Jesus is the truth. Jesus can redeem, he can restore, he can transform anyone who is allowing this and entertaining these ideas. Maybe it's a mental illness, sometimes it's called that. Perhaps it's demonic. But regardless, Jesus is the solution. He can transform our minds and put us in a place of sanity. And so as we look at these issues and we're aware of the trends, and it's beginning to move over into pedophilia as well, it's coming, we must stand firm in the truth and the liberation that Jesus brings into our world. And we must stand with him and the truth of God's word. This is not normal. This is an illness. This is demonic. Stand firm in love.